Alright folks, we got a Yamaha FG-411-12 and I'm gonna be getting this thing ready to play here over the next couple days or week or so. I'm not sure how long it's gonna take yet, but not too much work on this one. I just got this the other day, got a pretty good deal on it fortunately, and gonna try and make this a short video, kind of start things out here. And so mostly I'm just going to be addressing this today, and what I want to talk about here is what I noticed right away when I first started getting this thing. I was getting ready to clean it up here, and before I started taking the strings off, I had put this string over where it was supposed to be, because we have your notch here and then you have your second notch for your, because these are the obviously not the strings that it's going to end up with, but these were on it when I got it, and so it's missing the 12th string strings. And so if I take this little ruler here, you might be able to see that the spacing between most of them is the same, but those two at the end there, it is more narrow. And what I'm thinking has happened is that this has been replaced, or it was damaged, because it looks like it is broken there, and maybe somebody just decided that they could just cut another notch in here and keep using the same one. And so now these two notches are actually closer together, this pair here and here, than the rest of them. So that's going to cause a problem in the end. And the other thing I've noticed, which is what leads me to think that it's a replacement, plus now that I'm looking at it better in this light, I can see there's a bunch of epoxy squeezed out here. So now I'm certain that this is not the original here, and hopefully that doesn't cause a problem when I remove this. But this is actually a radiused fretboard. Probably not going to be able to see that very well, but don't have a light handy. But yes, this is indeed a radiused fretboard, which is according to some people is unusual, but every guitar I own has a radiused fretboard apparently, including this one now. So for me it's very common, and I kind of like it. I prefer it now, I'd say. I have a mandolin that isn't radiused, and that doesn't bother me, but I do feel quite a difference. And so when I look at this nut, before I even noticed that squeeze out, I noticed that it's completely flat, and you should be able to see that pretty well. And so the nut is flat, the neck is curved this way, and all the frets are curved that way. And so what is happening is that right here, these strings are a nice distance away, but then these strings in the middle are actually almost just touching the frets, because this isn't curved to match the curvature of this. So what I'm going to do first here, and I'm probably not going to be talking a lot while I'm doing this, so I'm just going and explaining ahead of time. And I'm going to remove all that stuff, and I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to remove the strings. And once it's removed, I'm going to inspect it and establish whether I can reuse it, at least for the time being, because it appears that it might not be plastic, but I think it is plastic. But if there's some way I can temporarily just shim it and actually like sand off the original notches and curve it, and then just shim it up higher so I can continue working on this thing and getting it set up better. That's what I'm going to do for now, because building a new one of these from scratch is going to take me all day probably, and so that's a whole nother video hopefully. But so we're gonna address that first, and then the other thing that's immediately apparent is this end is also wrong, as they usually are when I get them for my prices. And it is not just wrong, it looks like the pawn shop probably just threw this in there because it probably didn't have one, because not only is it missing, it's missing these pegs. It's not long enough, it's not really the right height. It's not a bad height. You could play this right now, I'd say. The up here is really what's affecting its playability more than anything. But I bet if you put all the strings on here, it would work, just barely. And that's not what I'm going for. I want it to work well. So we're going to do that. And hopefully this isn't pulled up too much. I'm going to do a couple tricks I've seen from some people online to establish whether I'm going to have to repair that somehow. And then we're going to be cleaning it also. So you'll get a little insight on how I start cleaning them. And another thing that, if I get around to it, I may be addressing these. And so one of the first things I do is I go and, well, I start hearing things rattle. And well, this one is extremely loose. I'd say I'm going to have to address that before I do much. So I'm going to address that one for sure. And the way these are built, I'm probably just going to take all these off. And there's worms in here that I should be able to make them not rattle anymore by kind of bending the way that the worm gear is pressing on these. And if I can just bend it just slightly, it should make it nice and tight like this one up here, and it won't rattle. But you don't want it so tight that you have this huge resistance. I don't think, because it's just going to wear the metal down and make it get loose again, and I don't think that's probably good. I don't think it's going to necessarily cause a problem. If I have a string that doesn't like to stay in tune, I will make it a little tighter, but I like them to all be even, just so I can kind of tension everything up quicker, I feel like. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to set this down, and I'm going to take all these strings off and get cracking at this. This is going to be the first of many repairs in this series, and this one is, I feel like, a good one to start with because, well, I want to play it. I've been wanting a 12 string for a while. I don't think I'm going to sell this one, and it doesn't really need any repairs. It's not really broken. Like, I got a pretty good deal on it for it not being broken, and I probably will reuse these strings for test. They're pretty bad, but they are intact, so I'll tighten them up and get all my measurements and stuff with these, and till they break. And I have a new set of strings for this, but I don't really want to put them on until I'm done, so I may not be able to string this for a while. I'd say I'm gonna have to build the new nut and build the new saddle before I put the strings on there. But I've always wanted to string a 12 string like a mandolin, so I was thinking maybe I'll just do that and see what happens with it. So I got some old strings laying around, and I could just put 2 big E's on there and 2 big A's on there, and it's kind of already cut out, like notched out for it. So maybe while I'm setting it up, I'll do that. I'm not sure. It might not be a good idea, but I don't think it would do anything I couldn't repair if it did somehow damage something. Unfortunately, this nut is not the original. If it had been, I probably wouldn't have to take it off. And hopefully this comes off. I'm going to try to just pull it off there, but if it won't, then we're going to heat it up. That seems to be the best trick. Hit it with the hair dryer or something, and then they just kind of want to pop off. But I'm gonna go ahead and just clean this thing up first, so you'll just kind of get that, and you can speed the video up and montage it yourself or something on YouTube if you want, because I'm not going to be editing anything here. Sorry. I find it's actually good for the tuners to kind of back off some of these strings instead of just unwinding them. I don't know. I'm sure people that do it all the time don't really worry about that, but to me, on my own instruments, I take that little extra time for it, and maybe someday I'll realize it's nonsense, but for now I continue to do it. I think it's good for the gears. This is a nice way of taking these out. I've seen music stores embarrass themselves, in my opinion, taking these things out numerous different ways. I mean, I'm sure there's so many different ways you could do it that are fine, but there's quite a few ways that aren't fine, and I would say that as far as that goes, anything that involves a tool that is metal, that is like a needle nose plier or a set of pliers or something, is probably not the right direction to go. But if it's all you got, I would just recommend doing what I'm getting ready to do here. And if for some reason this doesn't work, I don't think there's anything wrong with using a set of pliers. I would just go ahead and take, just some nice thick cardboard or whatever you got around, and put it down like that before you pull those off. Otherwise you're just going to damage this and put a bunch of nicks and stuff in it. And I mean, if I'm paying you to do that, you better not be putting nicks in it, as far as I'm concerned. But I have this really nice tool here that's curved, that it's a little piece of paper or your hand or whatever. That works great for them, but most of the time I don't even need that. You can just stick your hand in here and push them through from the back side a lot of the times. But these I didn't put in, and I did actually break one of these pegs the other day doing it. So I'm going to go ahead and use my tool this time. That's really probably the fastest way to do it too. And yeah, all it takes is a little piece of cardboard or something there. I mean, didn't take me any longer, I would say, to do it that, and now I haven't damaged anything, so I don't know. I just did that from the get-go. I don't know why somebody wouldn't do that, but everybody can do what they want to do as far as I'm concerned. I'm just not going to pay you to do it. I can't even find anybody to pay to do something like this anyways, so anymore. So we've got this, which is I'll use it something. I use it for putting them to setting them up or something. Probably never use it as a permanent one, but use it as a temporary one on a guitar if it fits in there. I got a fender over there that it needs all that. All this done real bad. It's pretty much just completely been sanded down to nothing, so this will be a good one to get. At least I can play that one a little bit, see how it sounds. It's interesting, somebody's actually, no, this one's just, it's very offset, but got a little curve on there too. I might copy that for a future one, if it seems to be about right. But this neck being a radius neck or whatnot, I typically actually increase this. I make the strings curve. I think that's neat. I don't know, you could maybe even play something like that with a bow, I'm not sure, but I think it's neat, and I'm used to it. It's easier for me to pick them out with my fingers and with my guitar picks that way. So since this one's radiused, I'm going to go ahead and do it like that, and that's kind of like maybe going to be my signature. I don't know if people typically curve and radius the strings at the nuts here and at the saddles, but I seem to prefer it. I'm sure somebody who's used a flat one their whole life, it'd throw them off, but I don't own any guitars like that, so this is just a little flux brush here. This is a nice tool for cleaning up stuff. Yeah, if it's not getting in there real deep, what you can do is you can take them. This works really good for electronics. And you just trim it nice and short like that. A little stubby. And yeah, if you go ahead and you take one of those and you make it nice and short, you can hear the how much more action or whatnot it has now. It's more like a broom, less like a mop, and it actually like kick the dust out, these little crevices or whatnot. I get these for 99 cents, so it's really a good deal. I get them locally. You can source them online, but I've actually been able to source these locally at a local store, which is nice. Just can't do that much anymore. So yeah, this appears to be made out of, or have some sort of weird plastic or something in the bottom. Unless that's like the etching from the router. It's almost like it's made out of plastic, but I can see wood here. So I'm not sure what's going on with that, but it's interesting. So I'm just going to go ahead and use a little warm water here and clean up some of this ancient stuff on here. It doesn't really look like anybody's played this thing much, but it's been played. I can see that somebody has played it. But I just can't imagine with that nut being the way it is, and it must not have been played much. Very often or something. But if this had some adhesive on it, I might use some rubbing alcohol, but for the most part I just use water, and then I go ahead and I use this stuff, which I think this stuff's awesome. This is the only bottle I've ever had. It's getting down there. I'm gonna have to find some more online. I bet I've never seen it in the store again, but there's somebody I've been watching online. They use sometimes they use this bee wax oil or something, but they also use linseed oil, I think, or something. So that might be a little cheaper alternative, but this stuff is awesome, and it's really not expensive. I've had this for probably almost closer to 10 years. And yeah, I couldn't count how many instruments I've used it on, and you can use it on horns. You know, it says all musical instruments. I would use this on a drum set. I mean, you can use it on anything. So, you know, if you want to get something that you can use on your trumpet and your guitar, or just an electric guitar, you know, this will oil the fretboard, and it's also, you know, it's string lube, so it's actually kind of for the strings. But it says here, the directions, it says cleaning, string lube, drag friction. It's organic. It says to do the entire instrument, and yeah, I'll put this on the tuners to lubricate the tuners. I put it on the fretboard. I don't typically put it on the pick guard very much, just because I do know there is sometimes weird pick guards, but also just doesn't ever seem important. Yeah, I'm not sure about the fret oxidation thing. I mean, it maybe helps. It says it does have petroleum, but yeah, no, this stuff's awesome. Look, it's even made in the USA, which is awesome. So there's a website, so maybe that's where I'll end up having to get it. But yeah, good product there. I would recommend that for anybody doing this. So I'll just use a little damp water, clean everything off here, and then I'll hit it with that axe wax, clean it all up after I get the body clean. There's all this I'm not sure what it is, paint, some sort of paint. Could have been nail polish all over the back here. I mean, it's pretty much just wiping off, but anything that doesn't come off, I'll probably buff it out with that wax. Try and just get all this off of here. I think it's either got scraped against paint, or it just has been scraped a lot against something that looks like paint. You can tell somebody was, maybe a child, must have had this thing on the floor. It really did a number on the back here. That's how this other guitar I had got so scratched up, and that was fine. I was letting the baby play with it. I didn't think it would, didn't think about it scratching up my enamel so much. So next time I'd probably put a blanket down or something if I did that again. This thing's super faded back here on the bottom. Like, yeah, it looks like there used to be a sticker down here. I wonder if that was the serial number or if it had a, not sure. But this guitar appears to be really well made. You know what this is? It's the clear coat is just, it's just fogging back here. That's what it is. But it appears to be very well made. They were made in Taiwan, whatever year this one was made. And the back here, as far as I can tell, appears to be one piece of wood, which is, doesn't seem to be very common as far as I've seen. But I'm gonna keep looking at it here because it's so well made. There's a seam down here on the bottom, and I mean, you can't even see the seam. Like, they lined the wood grain up so well to where it looks like it's one continuous piece of wood, unless you get it in just the right light, which tells me that somebody knew what they were doing who made this. And so I wouldn't be surprised if the back is the same way, but I got it in all sorts of different light and I cannot see it. So it may be one solid piece from the back, and I'm not sure why they would have done that. They didn't do it on the front. The front's two pieces. Unfortunately, this guitar is actually damaged. It's been cracked, or it's cracked all the way around here, pretty much all the way around, and you can see that it's the worst. I bet you can see that. Yep. But I don't think it looks like, to me, it's just pretty much just the clear coat. I mean, there's a little bit of wood chipped out there. I don't think it's gonna, I think I'm gonna string it up. It's gonna be fine, but you know, if it ever falls or something, I might have to repair that and fix that if it started pulling apart. But I don't think it would. Maybe this is why I got this thing so cheap, though. This thing is completely discolored. I'm wondering if somebody's like, I mean, if that's the original finish, it's very odd. I don't know. The whole neck's like that too. Yeah, it's like those old mandolins. Like, it's actually, the clear coat has turned a color, and it's like added a weird fogginess to everything, but only in certain areas. Oh, something's happened. This has been repaired or something. I'm not sure. You can see it in the light. There's I don't know what those are. But there's a clear difference in the wood coloring there, and I can see there's this thing here too. I wonder if somebody resprayed this thing, or probably no way to ever know. But it looks really odd. Like, this part looks original, and then this all looks like it's like overspray or something. But it could be the opposite. It could be this is the original and this is where the repairs were done. Either way, it's not a $1 million instrument here, so good either way. If it had been nicer, I would have looked at it in the store more, and I might not have even bought it. But I really didn't have a lot of time to decide, and he seemed like he wanted to get rid of it, so I went ahead and just jumped on it. Shot him a price. I'm pretty good about my word, so once he agreed, I had to buy it. We're going for about $400 online in good shape, so it's about 4 times as much as I paid for it. So I'm sure I could resell it, at least get $100 out of this damn thing, you know, get my string money back and stuff. And I wouldn't do that, but if I had to, I mean, it seemed like a good investment. And who knows, this particular one seems to be older. You know, it might be worth more than that after I'm done with it. So I really don't use any solvents. A lot of people do. I just don't see the being necessary, really. I mean, I've never come across one that was so bad that I had to hit it with some sort of anything. But I have one that's covered in stickers over there, and I will be using alcohol on that. And I have this 99% isopropylene, and I would recommend that for stickers in general. And I've not had any problems using it on a guitar. I'm imagining there might be a scenario where you wouldn't want to use alcohol, but as far as I see people using lighter fluid to remove stickers, and I mean, I'm not gonna do it. It may be fine. I just don't see it being necessary. Alcohol cleans stuff. It's not really a petroleum. So I'm just gonna stick with my alcohol until it does something wrong. And it works very well. Definitely works better than looks like the lighter fluid does. Yeah, this thing is, I don't know what's happened to it. I think it's been repaired or something. It doesn't really make any sense why somebody would spray this or something and there not have been any damage. Really. But who knows? You know, maybe it happened at the factory or something. But it's never had a strap on it. It doesn't have a strap thing up here, so unless they were tying off the headstock. So I really don't think it played much. I don't think anybody ever gigged with it, and I don't think that they ever probably took it out of the house, you know, if they didn't have a strap on it. It didn't have a case, and I got it. It's really not that old. And yeah, the frets, they're not really worn at all. I mean, there's a bunch of dirt on the fretboard, but I think that's just from it just sitting around. Somebody fixed it a little bit though. Maybe I don't know. Anybody who knew how to spray this thing should have known to make that nut curved, so I really don't know what's happened here, but there's definitely some sort of drywall mud or something on the fretboard here. corrosion right where that stuff was there. It was corroding a lot right there. Try and get that out of there. It's like a mold. That's just gonna want to spread. Like rust. Yeah, I shouldn't have to do much of these frets. They're pretty much brand new frets. Maybe it's got somebody was painting and doing drywall and stuff around it, and they didn't care. I don't know. Or maybe it's like pancake batter. Could be pancake batter. I typically clean these before I even bother putting any of that oil on there, because if there's all that dirt, that oil, it's not going to penetrate that dirt very well, so it's like kind of just oiling all the dirt. Don't really want the dirt oil, I don't think, so I normally wipe these down pretty good. This is going to polish those frets up again, I'd say a little bit, and I'm going to let it dry, and then you can really see where the oil is left, any of the little bad spots. Then I'll oil the fretboard with that stuff, and I'm gonna start getting some heat on this nut here. I have a feeling I'm going to need to heat it up, because this, whatever this epoxy is up here, I was hoping it was silicone. And it's not. It's definitely not silicone. It is hard, pretty hard. Might be super glue. So I'm just gonna put a space heater on it. That'll heat it up fine. Just blow that right on there for a few minutes, and then I'll just take my thumbs and I push away from the fretboard with them, and they just pop off. But this one actually is notched out for the headstock, so I'm going to be careful because of that, because I don't want to, a lot of times they won't be, but I don't want to actually damage anything up here where you're going to see it. There's no cover or anything for anything up there, so if it won't come off with the heat, I'll soak it in that oil, and if that doesn't help, maybe I'll soak it in alcohol, that area, just a little bit, and try and pry it off a little bit. But I don't think it needs to be pried off. I've never had to pry one off before, so I've never had one glued down like this either, though, so we'll see. I'm sure a lot of people that do this every day will laugh at how slow I do some of the things to this, but I know that when you get carried away and get going fast with stuff is when you make mistakes and when you do damage to things, and that's my number one goal, is to just not damage something more than it already is, and make something more work, create more work for myself. So even if it takes me more time, I figure as long as I'm not creating any more work for myself, in the end, I should gain. And if not, then, well, probably be about the same, hopefully. Yeah, it looks pretty good. It's actually a really, really nice looking fretboard. I mean, it doesn't have one fingernail mark on it hardly at all. That's great. Looks way better. Yeah. I'm not even gonna scrape it with that knife because it just looks so good. I don't want to even put any scratches on it. Unfortunately, these frets are a little wonky when I looked down it, but I haven't even had a real set of strings on it yet or adjusted anything, so I'm hoping that by the end of it, whatever is going on causing all that to look a little warped will all just kind of even out, you know. And if not, I might sand one down a little bit. I don't really have all the tools yet to recrown them, so I won't do much to them. But if it's buzzing, I'm gonna get those tools soon, so this will be maybe the guinea pig for doing some frets. I got some other guitars that really need it, but there isn't a lot left. There isn't a lot of room for a mistake. My mandolin too needs it real bad, but these instruments that are where the neck is radiused like this and the frets are radiused, seems like it'd be hard to use a tool on them. I think that you might be better off just kind of doing it by hand like this, if it's just one or two that are bad. Ever put that thing on there, definitely use plenty of glue. This will be the only the third 12 string I've ever worked on. Yeah, these Yamahas, this is the second or third Yamaha I've worked on, and I'd really recommend Yamaha guitars. Like the ones that have this this headstock are the ones I've seen the most of, and they hold up good. But there is one at this store that has the oval hole, the other headstock design, the acoustic design, and it's a really pretty guitar. I'd like to get it someday. But it is a disaster. I mean, it needs everything done to it. It's you couldn't even play it. There's no way. I mean, this is pulling off almost an inch. I mean, it's just all the way pulled off pretty much. Everything on it was broken. So if that is any sign that the other ones would be like that, I wouldn't really recommend those. But if you're willing to put money into it or time, I'm sure they play good. I'm sure they're well made as far as the wood, but they must have made some mistakes when they built them. But there was a matte black one of these that this guy brought me one time that, I mean, it was the best guitar I've ever seen. Almost, he paid $50 for that one, And I've never had one where I could get the action so low on. And it just played so nice. This is like brand new though. I can't believe it. Now I got all cleaned up. Always makes me feel nice after I start cleaning them, when they start looking really nice. It's like, wow, I thought this one was going to look like garbage actually, but it's looking really good. It was just a bunch of dirt and stuff on here. It looks very similar to my fender here. A shot of that. The wood, I mean, it's like they used the same piece of wood on them, you know? I mean, it's almost like the same guitar. It's got the same 3 rings. It's just a different amount of rings, like, on the rings. But yeah, this is a Fender. This is my kind of my daily player. I start working on this one. I've already done all my work to this one. It's pretty nice. I like how it has this nice inlay there. That's a mistake of mine. I was trying to buff it, and the lacquer on here is very thin. It was like this already, and I tried patching it up. It's a beater guitar. It's all broke. I fixed it a little bit, and it sounds good, but it's like the front of this thing is dinged up just the same way as this one's all dinged up. And I've seen people fix that with steam. I'm not really worried about it. It doesn't seem to affect anything that I'm concerned about. But there really isn't any on here except this one, and it's driving me crazy that there's just this one spot that's all jacked up on here. So I might try repairing that with some steam and a little glue or something, a little super glue down in there, or a little lacquer thinner or something. There's a couple more little faults there, but yeah, this veneer, like this clear coat on here, this lacquer is really thick. Now I thought it was thin at first, like on that one, but now I'm cleaning it, I'm feeling it. It's nice and thick and strong on this one. It's got a little bit of an inlay here that I'm just noticing that I hadn't noticed. So it's actually a pretty good guitar. So I might try to fix that. Make it really nice. And I'm not sure when this guitar was made. I've seen it said that it was made in 1987 all the way up to 2001, which is confusing me, so I really don't care anymore. But after cleaning it and stuff, I'm guessing it's not from 1987. But I'm also guessing it's not from 2001. I'd say it's somewhere in between. Maybe it's a 91 or something. I'd like to hope it's closer to the 80s, just because I like old stuff. It's got about at least 25 years of cat hair in there. And there isn't any serial numbers. There's just a model number. So that means it's older. I find getting all that dust and hair out of there actually helps a lot. Like on the sound, like the resonance of the stuff. I'm not sure why it affects the sound so much, but they sure sound better after you clean them. There's still something rattling around in there. It's just all this dirt. Just filth in there. Oh, there it was. It's a piece of cardboard. Odd. That would be in there. I figured it was going to be a string end. I think there still is a string end in there. His neck is just so heavy and like built. I think because it's 12 string. I can see why it's cracked here because it weighs more than the body. Very unusual. Makes me think that I am going to have to address that neck joint someday, but hopefully I can take care of this thing and not have to do that right away. There's still something in there. Ooh, yeah, look at that. That just came out too. All at once. So that was... No, that wasn't what was rattling. But, I mean, this thing needs to be vacuumed out, really. It's so bad. Yeah, it's good enough for now, though. Don't have to look at it. Bunch of cat hair or whatever. Well, whatever that sound is a mystery. I can't find it. We'll just move on for now. So my buddy gave me some pegs he had laying around. I dropped them off after our gig. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stick these ones that were in here in there. And oddly enough, the black ones that he gave me in here are identical to what the heck was in there. So I got a full set of 12, which is great. But not only that, I mean, it looks like they're the exact same ones from the internet or something. I mean, they're the same size, I'm pretty sure. So that's cool. Not sure if they're the right size, but They're the same size. It's about all I care about. Ooh, yeah, this little brush hit the inside of that. I'm sure that'll get the rest of that out later. So this little trick for the, I don't mean to steal somebody else's trick here, but slip a little piece of paper or something. This is a sticker. So the sticker is not really going under there. It's going under there a little bit there. But it's pretty thick, so let's try something thinner like the receipt. And see how bad it really is over here. Okay. So you can see it going in there, right there. It goes pretty in far there. And so when it's like that, I would feel comfortable just squirting a little epoxy down there, like the Tight Bond or something. Just a little bit of it. I actually only have Tight Bond 2 right now, the blue stuff. That stuff's a little too strong for this area. But yeah, it doesn't, it's only on the edge there. I don't care about the edges. I'm just worried about the middle. I feel like the edges on these always come up. I mean, almost everyone I've ever seen, the edges are coming up. You know, unless you redo it. So yeah, this one is, it's not coming up at all really. This edge is totally down. So I'm happy with that. Sure, it could be better, but I'm not gonna pull this thing off and create a whole big mess for something that isn't even an issue. Now, if it was coming off up here, where this whole side was not attached, I might squirt that glue under there. But yeah, I'm not gonna do any of that. Now, if I can see a gap after I string it, I might change my mind. But this whole middle part is completely adhered still, so that's great. That's why I bought that fender too. I probably wouldn't have bought this if it was broke here, because I don't like messing with that. It's just not worth it on a guitar that's $80 or $50 or $40 or whatever. So, but that other Yamaha, it is like that, and if I buy that one, I'd fix that one, because I think that's a cool guitar. But I'm gonna go ahead and start preheating this. I got this as cleaned up as it matters right now. So I missed that whole side. I don't know what happened to this thing. I think it's cool though, whatever it is. Probably part of why I got it for cheap. So, yeah, I'm gonna preheat it. This thing is just painted wood like my fender. And what I'm gonna do is, I got a little tool that I've made, is just took a old like Sawzall blade pretty much, and I took a grinder and ground it to where it would fit down in here, and I made myself a little saw, I forget what they're called, but out of it. And I'll go ahead and I'm gonna notch all these out and actually get it to where the strings are catching a groove down there. I think that's a really good idea. I'm not sure why they just don't do that from the factories and stuff, but it makes a huge difference. And not only does it help the sound, but if you like were missing those pegs, or if you lose a peg or whatever, I mean, you don't even need the pegs, but it's like a banjo, a mandolin, I mean, pretty much any instrument you can think of, a violin, a stand-up bass, anything with strings, like that's like an electric guitar. That's how they secure the strings to the instruments. So I'm not sure why they don't do that for acoustics anymore, because I'm pretty sure when this design came out, they would have been doing it like that, where they would notch it out, and then the pin is just essentially holding the string in there, but the tension is on the actual sound plate or whatever that's beneath this. And yeah, I have no idea why, like, that's not part of common setups. Like, yeah, that's when I do setups, I do that, I do this, and I do the nut up here. Like, that's, for it to not need all three of those things is a miracle. I mean, if it's already, one's already been done well, and then typically I'll clean them, and you know, if I can fix some damage or something while I'm in there, or just like color it with a Sharpie to hide it for them, I'll go ahead and I'll do that too. Normally it doesn't take long, but this one's gonna need something for the strap here. I gotta have a strap always, and yeah, I think I'm gonna hit all that with some super glue, so that way I don't get any chip out on it and start losing pieces of it, and hopefully it holds. It doesn't like split open when I tension it up. Maybe probably what I'll do is I'll glue it when I got the strings on there. I'll wait till I do that. And there's one dent. I thought it was paint. It's not paint though. There's one dent on the back. So there's one dent on the front that's bad. There's one on the back that is bad. And then there's all these other marks. Something to do with the finish. It's like the finish has come up, and then it's created a white bubble underneath. Not sure exactly, but this is just, it's well made though. I'm impressed, really. I'm surprised that this guitar, that he would even sell it for $80, because once I got it home and I looked up how much they were going for online, I didn't even look it up when I bought it. I didn't care. Maybe that was why, because I wasn't being nosy. But I think part of it was just because they didn't want to mess with it, because it's 12 string, you know, had the wrong saddle, didn't have the right strings on there, and that was kind of like my bargaining point was, you know, I'm going to go out to spend $20 on strings right away for this thing. Guaranteed. So, right there is, you know, it's not even working. And then it's like, I got to do this, I got to do this. So to me, you know, if all that had been done, you know, maybe I'd give somebody $200 for this thing in a pawn shop. But there wasn't a price on it. The price had been covered up. So when I saw that, I was like, I'm gonna make an offer. And when I was getting ready to, he told me it was $100 out the door. And so, you know, I pretended to think about that when I already knew I wasn't gonna give him $100 for it. And then I just went ahead and thought about it and was like, well, if he wants 100, he's probably not going to take 50. And this guitar, well, it would have been the nicest guitar I've ever got for $50, so that didn't seem very realistic. So I told him I could do 80 on it, because I felt like that was fair, because about 80 or 90 bucks, you know, it's like kind of meet me in the middle of my 50, because it's about $100 guitar, but you know, I needed the strings, and if I was a normal customer, I would have just had to go buy strings for it. So I've been in about 100 bucks on it, but now that I've cleaned it up, I feel like he shouldn't have sold it to me for $100. Honestly, I think they wanted about $300 for it. At one point, they must have just had it too long, and that's the deal with that other Yamaha too. I mean, it's been sitting in the store for 4 years almost, so he didn't want to sell it for $50, but after the 4th year, maybe he will. Oh boy, that's good for him. Figure out some way of setting this thing up here where I can control its heat. I really don't need to heat the entire neck up. I just need to heat up a little area of the neck. That's where that nut is what I want to heat. Yeah. I just took a little brown paper bag and kind of made a heat shield for the rest of the neck there. I'm going to leave that on there, a couple minutes, I'd say. Anything longer might be a little excessive. I think it's going to take at least 100 seconds to permeate that heat into the wood of the neck, and I think that's going to need to permeate all the way through for me to have any hope with that. Well, while that one's heating up here, that's a good opportunity to look at a different one. We all know when the other guy takes a break and then he has a big mistake and he forgets to do something or whatnot. We all know why. Even though he doesn't show it. Somebody should buy this for me. Just got this the other day. This is for sale. You might get a setup depending on the price somebody's willing to pay. I would say might be in their best interest to just go ahead and shoot me a low price or not get the setup, because it probably is good already. I haven't looked at too much, but it's a nice little fiddle. It's a 3/4 size. It's got some extra strings in there, even. But I'm not a fiddle player. This is more of a instrument to learn on, I'd say, for somebody's child, even, since it being a 3/4. Ooh, yeah, that's nice and hot. Man, that's solid. Something that's got a nice flat edge you can use like a back. Kind of give you some extra energy. That one though, this is gonna be a new puzzle for me. I think the first step to this puzzle is to try to scrape this epoxy out. Oh yeah, okay. So it's very, very rubbery now that it's warm. So I'm pretty confident it's not super glue. I'm able to just peel it off on this fretboard, so I'm gonna peel it off on the wood. You know, you might wonder why I'm not using a razor blade. This is actually an extremely dull knife, and I use it for stuff like this because it can't really damage anything. That's why I wasn't worried about poking around with it, because it's not going to do much more than your fingernail. I mean, I'm sure it could do a little bit more, but so the fact that it's rubbery means it's not going to pop off like that. I was trying to do it first, so I'm gonna try and pry it real gently though. I'm gonna get all this out of here. Where I got an area I can work in. Wow, that's wild. So I changed the color of the fretboard there. It was just on there that long. It just looks better after doing that. Actually, looks like it's put on there properly. There's a big gap here on between them. Clearly, something happened here. Yeah, it almost looks like a little chisel. All about making real easy movements with stuff like this. Just being painstaking, you know. I'm hearing it crack and break free, but I don't know what I'm cracking. What am I breaking? Am I breaking the glue? Am I breaking it away from the glue? Or am I breaking the instrument? It doesn't appear like I'm breaking the instrument, so I'm going to give it a little more here. No chip out on that. Like, it's kind of where I'm at with it all. I don't want anything like that coming off. I'm starting to wonder if like I'd said originally, that I was going to try to reuse this or something maybe, but I mean, by the time I even just go through the trouble of sanding on this thing, I mean, I might as well just started making a new one. That's what I'm thinking. As long as I got the pieces to do it. This is nice though. I mean, really hasn't been damaged or messed up really at all. There is some sort of something there. Something here. I can see the wood here. I'm not sure what this other thing is. Since I don't know what it is, I'm just trying to show you a little bit, but it's tough. Need the right angle. Yeah, the camera's way up there. Alright. Just trying to scrape it off a little bit so I can better identify what it is, and it'll just kind of flatten that area. I mean, a little bit too, so it's not flat. I have this little chip out here of whatever this is, and I'm not sure if I need to remove it all or if this is important. Like, this is part of the neck in a way. It doesn't look like wood, but it's I can see wood. I think it's from the last job, not from Yamaha. But anyway, so I'm trying to just do this, because as long as I do one scrape like that, if I go back and forth like this, I'm more likely to nick the edges, right? So this way, there's no way to actually hit anything but the area I'm working in. And that's what that sound was this. And yeah, it's epoxy. Or filler or something like. So I'm wondering if I should just sand it all out, but it's not wood. What it is the wood, the grain of the wood is being magnified through it, or something. It looks like it was making it look like it was wood. Okay, so as I've been doing this, the tip of my knife has actually kind of chipped out a little bit of the top here. I wasn't paying attention, couldn't see that part, and so I think I need to actually get a file or something in here. So I didn't get it too bad, but you can tell I just made it slightly lower there. It was all the way across. So I'll just have to sand down that far now and make that a little deeper notch, which is probably good for it anyways. But it will make the neck slightly weaker. And somehow I've managed to chip out on the side there, which sucks with that knife. That epoxy was so thick. I don't know. I guess I just got carried away with the knife. That's too bad. It's actually pretty bad. I don't think that was like that before. But I don't care. I'll just drop super glue or something in there. But I've hit a wall because I don't have a file that will do that job very well. I think don't have the pieces. I think this is all I have for scrap bone pieces right now. It's so nice and glossy though. That's way too small. This piece too, I think it would be a stretch to make that happen. It might be possible. But it's just too close to, I don't think it's worth the trouble of going through this piece, because it would just be just too small. So So that's the second wall. I don't have that to fashion the new one. So I think I'm just gonna go back to my original plan. Which is just put a little shim in there for now and just continue to reuse this one, and just re-measure, re-notch that stuff. Yeah, you can see it broke off there. You can see it broke off quite a bit. That's the original. And so there's something along those lines has happened. But it's just too long for me to use anything else. The old one I have laying around. Somebody just sanded the hell out of this thing. Yeah, it'll be enough to get it intonated, I'd say. Well, get that guitar out of here for a minute. I just realized that I do need to make a new one for this instrument here. It's pretty cool. That is even taller than this one, which is already absurdly tall. But this is the right size. If I wanted to make it into this, and it is made out of bone already. So, not tonight, but I may end up doing that. Just taking a really big piece and making one for this. But one's gotten me by on here. So there's a nice flat surface, and that's about all you need. Dremel it and get started, speed things up. I'll be back. Yeah, that's all you need, but that's not all you want. So you definitely want some tools, but if you don't have any, all you need is sandpaper. I'm not sure about this comment here. Thanks, Blue Massey. But if you did, in fact, give me something, then thank you. Otherwise, whatever. Not interested. Yeah, maybe a black backdrop isn't the best thing, but you'll thank me because it'll save your phone battery if you're watching it. I'm not really sure what these are for, like, but it's annoying because there's no grips in the middle of them. Like, there's another tool over here. It's like this, but it just doesn't have any. It's like, I'm not really sure if I'd ever need something like that for anything. Maybe somebody did. Like one person. If you didn't know it was plastic by now, you know when it starts to melt. That it's made out of plastic, which I figured it was, but it looked weird. It was like somebody rough sawn one side of it, and it makes it look like it's got a grain to it. Do that left-handed, then everything flies away from your face and your eyes. A little nicer because then you don't have to wear goggles or whatever. Let's give that a shot. too. A little mini grinder. That's a good idea. That's roughed out pretty good. I like them about that shape. I don't know, that other one was pretty funky shape. I don't know what was going on with that. That's roughed in now pretty well. Now I'm just gonna sit here and kind of rock it while I'm sanding it on that sandpaper to give it some curvature there even more. I'm kind of like sweeping it across the sandpaper so it kind of creates a curve as I'm going here. This stuff's junk. I don't even know what it is. Until I found it first. I found my good stuff here. This stuff's like got an adhesive back or something. It's weird. It's really rough though. It's like, it's good for a second and then it falls apart immediately. Alright, yeah, that's I don't want to put too much time into this because it's just going to be shimmed on there, but I've left them like that for a while, so I don't want to be just garbage. And it gets somebody to see what I'm doing, since I don't have the bone. I'm just going to do that, and then it's actually about, I'd say that's pretty good. Now, and then notch it with this other piece on the top. I took all the old notches away so I could re-notch it because they weren't evenly spaced, and it's probably too short now, really. It's supposed to be longer, but I'm just going to change the whole spacing of the whole thing, and then when I build the final one, I'll just know if I want to use it wider spacing or what, and I'll just make it from scratch again. And I won't copy this one probably, so it'll just be good enough to get it to where I can play it and see how it sounds. So I need something underneath of it. piece of plastic I was using. It's about as thick as this thing. Oh, I guess, yeah, that's the neck's curved, so I still got to curve this thing to the left and to the right, so show that a little better. Maybe it actually matters. See something now. So I'm just going to shape it some more. Doesn't really need to be curved much. Guess I'm going to mark it from the guitar a little bit where it's how curved it actually is. I'm not actually done this, but I think it'll be a good idea. The head's so short, it's perfect already. Something. Gonna mark that curve on there a little bit. And boy, it's subtle. It's subtle, but it is there. And it affects it, I mean, to the point to where it almost wasn't playable. So it's there. And it's more exaggerated than that mark. I don't think it marked it very well. So I'm just gonna eyeball the mark. Is just gonna give me a reference of how far I've gone, essentially. More than anything. I'm not really following the mark. I'm just going to go the farthest on the ends, and I'm not going to go in the middle at all, because it's already too short. So essentially, if I just go all the way down at the end, I'll just draw a point between the end and the middle and kind of try to make that flatter, but curve it a little bit at the end, like I'll rock it. Alright, it's coming along pretty good there. So I'm gonna finish it with my hand probably. I'm just rocking it back and forth on there. With my wrist, so not doing too much effort because this might take a little while. You're really not just hitting the top of it, you know, you gotta hit the back and everything kind of it's all gotta round together. So I just kind of start at one side and kind of just rock it all along the length of it as I'm going like across that whole curvature that I'm making until it's kind of like smooth and rounded. And it's really hard to be hard to make it flat again. Oh, it'd be so nice if it was real bone and it was done. Bone definitely takes a lot longer. That's looking decent. It's a little backwards. Got more meat on this side. I really should have more on the other side, but There's some plastic dust. Well, I guess this only thing left is to shim it. I need something pretty thick, so like a really thick plastic card, like a credit card or a ID or like a freaking hotel key card, you know, Comfort Inn, something like that. Stuff like that. Those RFI cards, yeah, they work the best. If you need something real thick. I can't find anything thicker than just have these shims, so I am just going to use this old ATM card. And, if I got to put 2 of them in there, I shouldn't have to do that much. Doesn't really need to be very thick, does it? So yeah, I'm probably gonna super glue them together. I don't see why not. I mean, this is plastic, and this is plastic. And if I just super glue them together, essentially it's going to just be bonded like one piece of plastic. And I mean, that's, you know, if you're somebody watching this and you're at home and you just are messing around with something, like, yeah, that's, I would recommend just doing that, and it'll just be a lot better when you're done. Alright, that's about right. So I'm going to alcohol these, because I don't really need to get them wet. But I'm going to hit them with a little alcohol and make sure they're nice and clean before I glue them. I think that's going to bond them the best. I'm just going to put it on the shim side because there's holes in the bottom of the original piece, and I don't need it in the holes really at all. So it's just going to go in the holes if I put it on that. We're going to apply pressure. Try and hold that. Pressure is going to give us our bond. I'd say at least like 30 seconds, maybe like, you know, watch your fingers. Try to just keep moving them and keep that pressure, but maybe like 100 seconds is even like the best for, like, if it's something like metal or something. You really want it to hold. This is going to have tension on it eventually too, so that might help. Oh man, I didn't get it on there right. Well, I moved it. Not sure if it's even glued still though. That'd be fine. It's not glued very well, but I really don't care because it's temporary. It'll just help me when I'm seating stuff. I won't have it keep kicking up. That's really all that matters to me. And if that's not enough, I'm going to have to put a second one on anyways. So might have to do that. Let's see. One. That looks a lot better. I don't think that the strings are going to buzz. I went a little bit too low on the E side. I think it's going to be okay because there's that little high E at the top of the 12 string. So I'm just going to go with it, and it'll help me know what to do on there right on the final, I'd say. Let me get to where somebody can see something again. Well, we're not done with it actually. We gotta mark the strings. No idea how I'm gonna do that. 4.5, just over 4.5 centimeters. It's not really a good measurement on inches either. So I'm just going to use these centimeter marks to try to make these things even. I need 6 3 pairs and 3 pairs, so it's kind of like a mandolin. So the middle is right here. It's way too small, ain't it? Oh. Let's do this. 32, 23, 40, 5, 6, 7, 46. Mark the middle. Mark the middle of that. That. There. Middle of that is there. Need to divide them up in the third section. So I marked this every 8 centimeters, so I've got divided up into thirds now. So each pair I'm going to put inside one of those thirds, and I'm going to center it in them, I think. And I'm going to do it in a different, with a different color or something, and I'm going to make them really tight, so there's going to be a big gap in between each pair, because that's what I want. If I don't like it, I'll change it, but I think that's what I'm going to like, so that's what I want to do. Real tight pairs, so almost like strings. So I'm going to do it on the 3rd and the 5th centimeter out of every 8. I think that's going to give me a nice, even, all the way across. It's going to be like 1, 2, 3, 4 is the space, 5 is the 1, 2, 3. But wait, it's a little off. Why is it off there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8. Alright, that's looking decent. It's not perfect, but I think I can get it perfect by the end here. These just to make it nice and fast. I've seen people use other stuff, do it by hand. I mean, maybe if it's a real important one, but yeah. I grabbed the wrong tool here, but more screwdriver. See if I can find the one that's not broken and get back to this, but if not, I might be doing it by hand with those discs. Just suck. Well, I'm pretty desperate to make this work because I can't find the right piece. So, just gonna stick that on there with some tape or something and see what happens. I don't need to do it long, so might work. both sides. That's my best bet here. Didn't really work like I wanted it to. Needs to be more like this. I don't have to do it twice, but I think it'll work for a minute or two. Still gonna be faster than probably anything else I can come up with. It's a little wobbly, so it's making them wider, which is actually a good thing. So, cool. You really don't need much on this side. You just need a little tiny groove there to make sure they don't move around. I started with the E and it was a little sloppy, but probably good because that one's so wide, so it's a good way to kind of gauge it, because on the one it doesn't matter as much. Alright. Yeah, that looks good. I just need to go do the back part. Make sure it's got enough room behind. That one went a little deep into there, but it's okay. It's the back side. Alright. Let's see if you can see what I just did here. Yeah. So we get the E. I can't see the center of the screen. There it goes. When I did the back side, it melted plastic back towards the first part. You just want enough there so they don't hop out on you. They're really not going to hop out up there because you're not really strumming or anything. If you want to bend the string or something, maybe just a little bit. Alright, I think that's going to be good. It's not perfect, but it's getting there. So well, I guess that was alcohol from way earlier. No idea. It's like soaked in there. I barely had any alcohol in there. Whatever it was, 100%. Alright, can you see that on there? Yeah, a little bit. Nope, I lost it. Oh, yep, right there on the ground. So yeah, better than it was. We'll see what happens. Might be able to string it with that. and since it won't be glued, I can just, you know, adjust it from there. I can shim a little business card or something under there if I need to. I don't think I'll need to glue it because there's just, yep, it's going to hold in there because I glued them together, so that's good. So I'd say we're good up there. The other thing I wanted to do is down here. This thing. Oh, well, we've got this thing too. This needs to work. Something. So, it's the right width. So I think I could kind of ease it for a second. Pretty close, at least. It's a little off. I kind of like a high action. Maybe if I just curve it a little more for the neck and stuff, it might be about right already. I'm thinking about this now because it's actually been sanded raw on the bottom. Something. I don't know. It's hard to tell, but this looks wrong. I really want to sand all that with this. I keep forgetting I work with plastic for once. I normally don't, so this is a lot faster by hand. So that's nice. Belt sander is the way to go, for sure. I like to roll these corners down. They kind of bug me. My hands. Strings aren't anywhere near that area, so it really doesn't matter how low it is there. Alright, it's starting to look like it'd be good for a non-rounded neck, but I need to add a little bit of a curve to it for the neck, so still gotta maybe put my hand back here for this part. Something's kind of rounded. It's starting to look pretty good. Match the frets. It's pretty close to the frets. I'm kind of like wobbling it, you know, to give it that, keep that rounded edge in the center. Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna go ahead and call that good enough for that, for moving on purposes. Oh yeah, that looks just like my other guitars, so I'm happy with that. Wow, I'm not happy with that plastic dust still. Yuck. Smells better than the bone, at least. Alright, so this is always a pain on my hands with this tool, but I really didn't think I would be doing it this many times with it. It's just kind of happened. I'll try and do something a little different this time. Maybe some more weight to it. So I've done this a few times, and this increases my volume substantially, so I like that. I'm doing it. Can't even see very well here. Let's try this way. There we go. There's some large peg holes. Only this tool does not fit down there at first. This part does kind of nick it up if you aren't putting some tape down or something, so I'll try to be careful, but I'm just gonna color it with a marker or something if I chip that paint off on it. And this first one is actually a very tiny string because it's a 12-string guitar, so unless I change that, I really don't need much of one on the first one. Like normally you'd have a really deep one here and then go to the thin ones, but it's like every back one here is going to be a thin one, essentially, so that'll go fast. Nice if you could get something automatic down in here, but I don't see that happening. Well, a screwdriver thing was a good idea, but it's not working because it's too heavy. It's making it even harder. Maybe this little brush back here will do it. Something in there. That was it right there. Alright, something to hold on to. It's got the cleaner tool at the end. It's a perfect tool now. Sweep it away if you want to do something. I'm trying to only like scrape up on the bottom and push down against it when I'm going down, as not chip out underneath or just in general, but especially where I can't see it chipping out. I'm going to put something at the ends of this too. You can see that, yeah. So it won't go left and right on me in there. Enough for the little strings. You really gotta get some in on the bottom because that's where you want that little ball on the end of the string. You want that to hook in there, like a banjo or something. As long as it's doing that, you've essentially achieved the solution. But the groove helps with the string break too, normally, but the break on here is really long already, so I'm not really too worried about the groove. You know, it is weakened in this area too, so I'm gonna go easy with the grooves on it. So This one may not be, it may not be so good that you could take the pins out. It might actually kind of spring out without a pin in there, but it'll still be pulled up against that little wood piece underneath the bridge, so it'll be getting that sound transfer better. That's going to be my E and my A, so you can really get a little meat out of that one. Ain't going to hurt nothing for those. It's a good thing. I'm kind of going to round them out too, make it wider in the string. Anyways. Well, because my blade's actually thinner than those, so they're not all huge. Just the first two or three. That one I can actually have a really good break on those strings, which might really help with the volume on the low end. So I'm going to go ahead and go ham on this side with it. See what happens with that. Have half of them like that. Creating a lot of vibrations, so I'll put my hand here just to kind of absorb the vibrations so I don't damage any of the glue or something internally, or the finish maybe somehow from it just shaking it apart where it was weak or something. Like on that up here, you know, it's really thin top on here. You know, the front is 2 pieces of wood. I'm not sure about the back, like I said at the beginning. gonna be a little obnoxious, but I think it's gonna be worth it. It's a bad angle from my wrist. It's really hard to not hop out though when you get a different one. Kind of want it to be like curved in there slightly. There's plenty of videos of somebody really going into detail on this, so I'm not gonna, but essentially you don't want it just straight down. You want it to either be like angled and curved at the end, so it's like coming down and then like sharp where the ball's gonna sit, or you know, to where it's like pinching it, you know, or you just want it like straight through all the way, you know, and to where it's like just a giant slot. And essentially the more slotted it is, the stronger that string break's going to be, but it's also the more, you know, you're gonna of integrity you're gonna lose on the wood. So whatever trade-off you're willing to sacrifice on that, I guess, or you think you're comfortable sacrificing. Like, there's so much wood here on this one, that's a lot more than usual for me, so I'm gonna go deep. It's not gonna split out through there. But the back ones would, so I couldn't go on the back ones really at all. The tool's starting to get pretty crappy. For some reason they never really end up in the center. Doesn't seem to be a problem. You'd think being a circle, it would kind of just funnel it to that spot that you start in, but I don't know. Yeah, it starts getting snagged sometimes, and that gets annoying too. holes. If I go that deep with all of them, I'm going to be here in a minute. So make you a sandwich or something. Insert advertisement here, right? Yeah, right. That E's, you really got to round it out while you're going for the low E. It'll just get pinched in there, and it doesn't really help when he's getting pinched in there. I can always go farther next time around, so I'm just gonna go ahead and leave that one alone. This one you don't really have to round out much, just maybe a hair sometimes. Maybe if you use medium strings, you gotta do a little more there. Should be And when I mean round out these, I mean rounding it vertically, or well, just side to side instead of up and down, because that up and down was, they all need to be rounded up and down slightly. But this is for the grooves, needs to also be like barreled, rounded, just so the string doesn't get pinched. So, if that was confusing. Oh, chip out of the last stroke there, unfortunately. May have wondered why I skipped one, and I don't know, but hopefully it helps me kind of keep the lengths the same and not like just running downhill or something with it all. Ooh, yeah, stabbed me good that time. Damn it. Fuck you. That one actually fucked it up. I think I had something down there last time because I did that one. I did that too. Pissed me off. That's the last one. Part of the character. Damn, yeah. Poor baby. Got a nice little fucking blemish from that. Never see it, but so I'm gonna have to tape that shit off next time. Well, I need something to fill in the edges of that. I think I'm just going to wedge some cardboard down around it. It's kind of loose anyhow, so. is all just temporary, essentially, so it doesn't have to look pretty or anything. Look at that. Let me use it. It's only going at the ends, so it's not really going to affect anything. I'm sure just by not having this thing built to go all the way to the ends, that's essentially going to affect the sound slightly. But if anything, putting these in here should improve it, because it's going to make it tight on the ends, and you know it's paper, something's going to transfer. Smash it down in there a little bit, maybe. Alright, that looks pretty decent. It's almost ready. You know, I might notch this stuff over here eventually, but for now I'm not going to until I see what it's doing, because I may end up, you know, beveling it for multiple strings even, so I don't want to, you know, put notches in it until after it'd be beveled anyways, so. Question is, do I string it up? No, I haven't even done the tuners yet. It's a little bit of a bow. the neck. So let's see what happens when I put something on that, huh? And if the truss rod doesn't work, I'm not gonna be happy about that. Well, that made a sound. I'm actually backing it off a little bit, so I'm not really worried about moving it. I just moved it about a 1/16th of a turn, and you know, I haven't seen it with all the tension on the strings, so I'm not gonna move any more than that because there's no point moving it twice. So. If it doesn't need it. Let's go ahead, we'll just fix that real bad tuner and then we'll move on. Fix back the worst ones. String it up. Definitely did this one here. Interesting. That's okay, yeah, I can just pop it open. I thought these were covers. They kind of are covers, but they're more intricate cover than I'm familiar with. Needs to be repaired though. Can't really use it like that. it's like pressed on there. Hopefully I can get this off. Oh, yep, that's not. It's coming out of there. It's definitely almost like pressed in there, but just ever so slightly, so it'll go back in good, I think. Be easy. Yeah, there it goes. That's not too bad. It is just a little cover on there. So, when these are loose like this one is really loose. What it is normally is it's not this that's loose. So that is slightly loose. It is this rattling against here, and it's loose. Make sure you can see my hand. There's the camera. It's loose right there. So that's where it rattles. It's right in there, you know, and down on this side. And it's rattling this way. Normally I find I'm rattling this way. It is, and that's how I fix them, is I pinch it. But this one's different. So I think what's happening is this is wore out, and it's created a space here, right, between those. So either this needs to get bent that way, or this needs to be moved, or I can just do my normal fix and it'll pinch it between the edges and it'll be tight, but it will still be a little rattly, I feel like. Yeah, that's no good. I think a little piece of paper in there, under that gear or something, maybe. Maybe that'll help. Ooh, I don't know if I can get that off easy. There's definitely some cheap hardware they used on here. I don't like it. Yeah, I think I'm just going to bend it back if I can. Bend that piece where it would normally not be bent. And just call her good. If I can't, I'm not sure how. But on both sides.